I first got the idea that I was going to write down some of the funny stories of growing up with so many sisters. And it was going to be from the youngest sister's point of view because that's who I am. But then I thought, hey, it would be more fun to get to imagine being the older bossy sisters who played all these jokes on me and did all this stuff. So that was kind of the beginnings of Judy Moody. And then right around that time, I was talking with kids a lot in schools and bookstores and classrooms. And around, say, maybe like third grade age, around 8, kids would always ask me, "Are you ever in a bad mood?" And they would say, "Can you write a book when you're in a bad mood?" Well, I happen to be a moody person, so I would always say, "Oh yes, I have lots of moods," and no, I can't really write a book in a bad mood, but it got me thinking all about moods and that kids at this age were becoming aware of what their moods were, and I'm sure their parents were also commenting on their moods because I've learned we all know a Judy Moody, right? So somehow these stories about the sisters and a character of an older sister came together with this idea of moods, and that became the beginnings of Judy Moody. So then I had to come up with a name, right? So I had, when I was in college, I knew a friend named Margaret Moody, and I thought, oh, well, Moody is a real last name. So I thought that would be kind of fun just to play with the fact that she has these moods. So I came up with the last name first. And then I just started, I have somewhere old scraps of paper with these lists of all these names, and I was trying to get it, what name would it be? And because I kind of wanted a classic name, not something that would be very dated. But my best friend growing up, her name was Judy. So I wrote Judy on the list, and I was like, hey, wait, Judy, Moody. We don't even have the name Judy much anymore, but Judy and Moody rhymed. And at first I thought, is that going to be too dated? And then I thought, no, it kind of takes it out of time in a way, which is what I wanted. So just from the sound of the words, which if you read my books, you know how much I love wordplay and puns and alliteration. So the sound of Judy Moody then came to me as her name. I didn't know at the time that it was going to be a series. So had I known it would be a series, then this would make more sense about what I'm going to say. But I think it was more that I wanted to capture sort of an every kid and not have like Judy makes up her own vocabulary and her own words, because if I use all the words that are popular in the year 2000 when I'm writing, 20 years later, that may not work. So that's sort of what I mean out of time, but also she's in third grade and she's 8 years old, which is like a favorite age of mine. And again, had I thought it through more, I may have thought about, am I ever going to age her up? But I wanted it to be kind of the childhood like I had, where you could go out in the backyard and catch a toad, but it wouldn't be, you wouldn't know that it was the 1960s. It wouldn't be dated either way in the future or in the past. So trying to kind of pick up on these universal things that make Judy Moody and Stink's world. And hopefully even, like I don't have a lot of technology in the books because again, that gets dated so quickly. So they don't have well, they're only in third grade, but they don't have cell phones and, a lot of that. So that's kind of what I mean. But again, when I first wrote the book, I just had a collection I was trying to get these stories down. So they were mostly vignettes, and I had a whole collection of like 20 of these, and I really didn't know what to do with them. And I was in search of a new editor and a new publishing house. And just by wonderful happenstance, I went to speak at a writing conference, and they put me on a panel with an agent, myself, and an editor. And so we were supposed to give our talk, but we didn't know each other and had never met before. And so we got together and we said, let's make this more fun and interesting. Let's pretend that Megan has this fake manuscript and the agent will call the editor and have the discussion about what it's going to be. Let's act it out, basically. So we acted it out, and the editor, who was on the panel, who I'd never met, was funny, and she just, she offered me some outrageous amount of money because it was all fake. And so we said, okay, sold. And we did the whole thing there and acted it out. And afterwards, I said to my agent, I really like this editor. Could we actually talk to her and see if she would want to work with me? So her name's Mary Lee Donovan. She's from Candlewick Press. And I loved books. As a bookseller and a librarian, I had been in love with Candlewick Press for years, but in their beginnings, they were based in the UK and they didn't even publish American authors at the beginning. So anyway, again, making this connection to an editor in person, my agent approached her and she said, sure, send me anything. Well, the next thing that I had to send was Judy Moody. And I sent her what was kind of a mess, all of these stories, and told her, I really don't know what I want to do with these. And it was her idea. She said, well, why don't you find a connecting thread or theme and try to make it into a short chapter book? So that completely got me on to thinking about how to connect all of these different sort of anecdotes and vignettes. And the connecting theme was that Judy Moody was making this me collage all about herself. So all of these little stories kind of fit into, and I had so many stories. The first book came out to be like the size of a Harry Potter novel. So we had to cut the book at least in half because, of course, you can't put all of that material in one book. So then, because I had all these ideas and other stories, it kind of organically grew out of the first book. My editor said, well, you have all this material. What do you think of writing a companion and continuing on with Judy Moody? So I have to say, at the beginning, this was so unplanned. And even now, we've never said, like, this is how many books we're gonna have. Certainly we try to think through certain things, but my editor has just been so wonderful about it. And she always says, well, if you're still happy doing it and you have more ideas, let's keep going. So to this day, if all of a sudden I get an idea for Judy or Stink that I want to do, I can write to her and say, what do you think?